Okay, so part 21. I'm sitting down at this tree and I'm just writing in my journal. I opened up my journal to a goddamn page, right? And I am just writing everything I'm experiencing. I'm not even thinking about the fact that Shawn Mendes might be in front of me. I'm not even thinking about that. Even though I sat down, like, all of a sudden, I'm just writing everything. I'm just, like, writing down, like, just everything. With, like, kind of a fervor. I remember, and I was using a purple pen. And I'm listening, all of a sudden, like, I'm trying not to eavesdrop, but I'm hearing this conversation behind me. And, like, this guy's on the phone, and he's talking behind me, or he's talking next to me. He's, like, at a tree. He's at the tree right next to me. So I'm sitting at this one tree, and this guy's at this other tree right there. Okay, and we're both sitting at a tree, okay? And he's on the phone. He's talking to somebody. I don't know who he's talking about. But he says the word manifestation, and my body, like, literally jolts, and I, like, look at him, and him and I, like lock eye contact. Then he gets off the phone, and he starts talking to me, and, like, who is this man other than the great Mike Sabbath? Of course, I had no idea who he was at this point. I didn't really know anything about the music industry. I kind of did, but only in, like, the CIA, like, dark underbelly way that I was studying. And so, yeah, I was singing a lot. So I was getting the impression that I was trying to start to make music. So, I mean, that is why I invited my ex to even come live with me. I was like, come live with me, you know how to play the guitar, let's make an album. He told me he knew how to use Ableton. He did not. I tried for so long to figure that out. It's just all a frustration of 2021. I don't even want to, all I wanted was to make a fucking album. We didn't even write one song. Not one song? A year, it doesn't matter. Okay, we're not even getting into that. I'll read you. So I've wrote enough beautifully poetic ways of describing this all, and I feel like I should just give it justice then. So yeah, so I'm talking to Mike Sabbath, and I'm showing him my art and stuff like that, but I don't know he has any connection to Shawn Mendes. I have no idea who this guy is until he says the word pop star. He's talking to me about what he was doing early that day, and he was like, oh, I was like in a studio with this pop star, and he says the word pop star, and all of a sudden, like, something like clicks in my brain, and my boyfriend starts calling me repetitively, and my dog starts barking, and then Mike, like, gets up to leave, and then he tries to come back, and then he leaves, and then I see him again when I'm walking back to my car, because my ex is yelling at me on my phone, and, like, everything is just, like, it's all just, like, a whirlwind, and I'm just, like, what's real? Yeah, so that was that day. Yeah. So then I go home to my ex, and I cry some more about my friend being dead, and he doesn't cry. He never cries. He doesn't cry about it. It's kind of weird. Okay. There's that. Don't worry. This isn't all going to become about Shawn Mendes. This is still my story. But he does become, like, him and Mike do become, like, some serious through lines, especially for 2022 and 2023 and 2020. Honestly, even still today. Like, they're a through line, but not in, like, I don't know how to explain it. I feel like I just got to talk more. So, so the next day, I sleep the whole day because I'm, like, totally depressed. So, okay, and this is part 22. So I fall asleep and I'm just, like, totally depressed. And, like, all over my, like, feed on my Explore page is, like, news of, like, Shawn getting tattoos, and, like, all of a sudden I, like, see Mike, because Mike got a tattoo too, and, like, I see that they're, like, connected, and I was like, wait, I talked to that guy. And so then I, like, put two and two together, and, like, I'm like, what the heck? And then I look at Shawn Mendes, and then I see that, like, there's all these, like, on my Explore page on Instagram, there's all these things about, like, there's, like, a picture of him literally in the spot that we had met the day before. And I guess he had, like, spent the whole day there. And he posted, like, a picture of, like, an apple on his story of, like, the exact crystal shop. And he's inside the goddamn crystal shop that I was trying to go to the day before. And he's inside of this store, and he's posting an apple. And, like, nobody would know that that's what was going on. I don't even know how he, like... And so I'm just looking at this, and I'm like, well, that's weird, but I have other things to focus on. So I go to Georgia, and I'm at my friend's funeral, and, like, yeah. So later on, when this album comes out, Shawn, and I hear the song Heart of Gold, and I'm like, I literally went to the funeral and I hugged my friend Nikolai Gold's mom. Like, the lyrics, just the lyrics of that entire album, I'm just, even the symbolism of the music videos, every single time I watch it, I'm just like, my mind's blown, and for different reasons. So yeah, that's that. So then I'm living in Calabasas, and I'm studying Shawn, and I'm studying Mike, but by studying them, I'm more like looking at them in the same way that I would look at, like, people who are divination. I'm more like cloud watching them. and they're not the only people in cloud watching, if that makes sense. And so now I'm like looking at like different like stars, and I'm starting to look more at like John Mayer and thinking about like experiences I've had with him and just everybody I've ever met that was an artist in some way, shape, or form. This is not about celebrity, but like I'm just looking at artists and like the archetype of artists and people like pushing the bounds and doing different things in the world, and like that are vibrating at a higher vibration that I can feel and who are in the public eye. So I'm like, yeah, I'm studying all of this. Okay, so this is all of 2022. That's essentially what I'm doing. And then I have some friends come and stay over at my house at the end of 2022. Actually, well, there's more. Okay. Alright, part 23, as I'm rolling this spliff, I feel like I need to mention, I start getting really into Valkyries. So I become, at some point during 2022, after my ex moves out, which was a process, but my interjections, I'm just so free. So I become a bit of a Valkyrie. I take up the business of Valkyrieing. And what do I mean by that? I mean, certain people from my past, like even from middle school and stuff like that, also just random neighbors that I had like gotten to know and gotten hot tubbing with and stuff like that, they would come over to my house and they would spend the night. And like, it wouldn't be a sexual thing. I would like play frequencies and I would sometimes give them massages. And this happened with multiple men throughout the entire year. Like, where I would just like, I don't know, I think this was the way I was processing my grief with the fact that like Nikolai slept over at my house and then like he left and then he was gone. And so I just like would have men that like come over and we would do like essentially like an intensive therapy, and I would just do like frequency healing, and it would be from guys that I went to high school with, like guys I went to middle school with. Like I was just, I don't know why, they were just coming to me, and I just felt like I had some sort of like psychic soldier like health clinic going on, is really how I felt like what was going on. Like if I had to use any sort of metaphor, that's what I would say. So that's what I had going on in 2022. So I'm doing all of these studies. Now I have all these subjects who are all my friends, and I'm doing all of their astrology. So I'm also like really intensely studying astrology and all different types of astrology, not just Western astrology. I'm studying Mayan astrology. I'm studying Maori astrology. I'm studying Celtic tree astrology. I'm studying Egyptian astrology. Astrology is cool. In that, like, no matter what ancient civilization or what, like, culture you want to look into, they've got data about what they think about the stars. So that's what I mean. I'm, like, kind of understanding all the cultures of the world through astrology and through, like, studying all these different people that I'm essentially, like, practicing different frequency healing magic things on based off of what they tell me, because I'm trying to be a Valkyrie and I'm living alone. And then I have my friends come and live with me, okay? And then I have another. So my friend Margaret, her boyfriend he's got schizophrenia, and they're finally together. They're like twin flames, and they're literally like, I'm watching this divine union take place on my couch, and he had just gotten out of the hospital, and like they were like finally together after like 10 years or something like that on my couch in my living room, and like they were just staying with me, and I was like, yeah, of course I want to house this, like of course. And like, I don't know, he like said my house, like he felt safe in like nothing like fucked with him when he was in my house. So like that was cool. And then he leaves my house, and then he dies. So that's 2022. And like literally he leaves my house, and then 3 days later he's dead. But his partner is still with me, and I need to move out of this apartment. So that's 2022. Oh yeah, and 2022 is also when I start making music, because this whole time I'm writing songs, because I look at like, my whole life I've looked at lyrics as like the number one way to like kind of program yourself, especially after Mormonism, after experiencing all of that. Like I really, really learned, especially because Mormons, you know, you're supposed to be very careful about what it is that you listen to, like from the outside world, like media-wise, entertainment-wise. So, like, you always have to vet the lyrics. So I would always, like, know the lyrics that I was saying aloud, because I knew that, like, to some level they were, like, shaping my, like, subconscious programming. And I knew that my whole life. So I always wrote lyrics my whole life. I always wrote my own lyrics to, like, kind of write my own subconscious programming is, like, kind of the way I was viewing it, which I'm now realizing was very smart. But, yeah. So that's when I start writing music more intensely. It's definitely in 2022, and I'm doing all these frequency experiments. I start making music with my first boyfriend from 4th grade, Robert. I find him, and he's staying at my house, and we make music, and I released Dear Greenie and Silver 47, and that's what I made with him. and I like film a music video even, and I'm like really just embracing my inner artist. But then, yeah, then Eric died, and like my friend died, and then Margaret's staying with me, and like I have to move out of my apartment in Calabasas because it just doesn't make sense. My parents have a home in Newbury Park. I should just move in there. And like and a lot of people had died. Oh, my grandmother had died at just a couple months before too. That's why I'm moving back in with my mom, and that's why I'm like letting people live with me, because I'm just like going through it. Okay. And so yeah, so my grandmother, my dad's mother, like, and she was like my big like anchor to magic. She ends up passing, and like that was a whole thing that I don't feel like going through, but that happened in 2022. So now we're just gonna like I feel like I'm gonna go to bed now, and I'm gonna start the morning in 2023, and it gets even crazier. Like 2020, if you thought 2022, I mean 2023 actually is a good year, like really good year, and then 2024 gets like, we'll get into that tomorrow. But yeah, thank you for listening this much, if you are. Part 24. Okay, I swear to heck, I was gonna go to bed. I showered, I got ready and everything. Look at me, I'm in my bedtime gear. But I'm just so excited to talk about 2024. There's so much gold that happened that I never talked about with anybody, that I never posted anywhere, that I never like discussed on social media. There's so much that happened just at the beginning of 2024 that I can't even like, I feel like I want to get it off my chest almost. So it's like, I'm just like, that's what's kind of fueling me to like get through all of this. So like 2023 is really, really, really great. I meet some friends. I feel like I documented 2023 pretty well on my Instagram. I was really into social media at that point. I'm trying to think about like the big markers of things that happened that end up being like relevant later on. At the beginning of 2023, I meet this guy named Ben, and he becomes important later on. And also, but like he's still, I still don't know exactly how he's all involved in all this, but I remember I meet him, and I knew I was going to meet, it was Valentine's Day, and I like knew I was going to meet somebody very important that night, and I just didn't really know who it was. And then I met him, and I was like, okay, I think he might be important. But then the next night I see him again at like the exact next night I see him again at this bonfire in Topanga. And I'm like, okay, he's definitely important, because now my dad's there too. And I'm like, okay, this is definitely important. And they have like reversed astrology, and like I'm thinking about Egypt immediately. And I'm like, and it turns out he's there. Oh, and this is what like really cemented it. It turns out he was there to like film something or shoot something for Jay Shetty at like this Erewhon that like that I lived right next door to. So I was like spending a lot of time at that Erewhon during this whole Shawn Mendes time, and like Shawn Mendes had just done like, he was supposed to like be there. I don't know. It was all somehow connected in my head. So then somehow Ben just got like linked into all of this, and he actually keeps me on social media, because at a certain point during 2024, I'm like rejecting social media, and I'm thinking like I'm also like having mental breakdowns because of what I'm fucking involved with in 2024. Like there are days where I'm just like, I'm losing my actual shit. And so I would just like watch his like stories, and it would be like things like just in nature, and then I would just be able to breathe. So that was good. So he ends up somehow like being involved in this, specifically him with the camera. The fact that this is all of part 25, I don't know why, but I just talk and I let things fall out of my mouth. So I'll keep going. Yeah. Oh, we're talking about 2023. Yeah, so he's one of the people. I also start a band, okay, and it's called the Ancient Dreamers. But in my head, the Ancient Dreamers is like a collective, where it's like, it's multiple people that are involved, and it's like kind of musical, but also like esoteric, and it's like, we all have to awaken. And it has to do with the city of Los Angeles and also the whole globe. So yeah, that's a theory of mine. Okay, I swear, I'm trying to get tired. I am. I'm trying. And so I'm just going to continue on with 2023. Oh, I remember at the beginning of 2023, my whole goal at first was to study club culture. So I'm going to a lot of clubs during the weekdays. And like, I'm like dancing on a lot of tables, but I'm sober the entire time. And I'm just like watching and observing, and I'm in the smoker section, and I'm just having conversations with people. I'm not always really paying attention to who it is that I'm meeting. I'm more paying attention to the conversation itself and like what it is that it's like informing me. in a certain way when I'm out in public. I'm more like kind of doing like my own observer effect. Like, how is my attention influencing, and like if I change certain things, like how does that influence the conversation, the people around me? That's kind of more like literally being from an observer state. Like that's kind of how I do that. So I'm practicing that a lot in 2023 at the beginning, and I'm starting to do like open mics and stuff like that. And I get a band, so I put together a band, and I end up moving the band into my house, and they're also a band on their own. So like they're an LA rock band, okay? And so I'm now, instead of I put a halt on the whole LA nightlife party scene culture, put a little pin in that. We do come back to that. But I instead get immersed in like this Topanga, like LA rock scene at the same time culture, and I'm trying to like bridge them together with my other friend whose birthday I believe is today now officially. So I will say happy birthday to her probably in the morning. But happy birthday, Jenna. Her name is also Jenna. So yeah, we start this whole thing. We do this whole like festival. Oh, we go to a music fest. We go to Mount Shasta. We see. And like that's a whole thing, but I feel like I talk about Mount Shasta enough already in a different like reel somewhere on my Instagram. So we're at Mount Shasta. We have this whole interesting thing with the Oracle Park, and like this is a lot when I'm like kind of more in the light. But things do start to get intense because our band is great, okay? And we performed for the first time too. We ended up performing at a music festival called Bhakti Love, which I didn't really realize was a music festival, but because we were doing the nighttime stuff, so I didn't really realize there was this whole festival going on, because we were just in charge of the sacred Agni, the fire at night. So I was just up at night, and then like I would kind of, and that's where I ended up meeting a lot of people that end up coming into play later on in the story. I meet a lot of people at this Bhakti Fest, and I've got my face painted all these different colors, so I'm like chameleon, so you can't really find me anywhere during the day, and you don't really know what I look like, because every single time I'm performing around this campfire at night, I've got a different like face on, like literally. So that's 2023 in a nutshell. Oh yeah, and then a bunch of people move in with me, and we're all living together. I love that my mascara is literally like, I didn't take it off well enough, and I don't care, because this is what I'm thinking about. And I'm not gonna be able to fall asleep because I have insomnia. I'm gonna be thinking about this. So back to the story. 2023. I forgot to mention, this is also the year I learned to play the piano in the dark. Yeah, like well-ish. To my standards. That's when I incorporate, this is how I'll phrase it. This is when I start incorporating the piano into my frequency magic routine and in my scientific study. As I look like this. Yeah. That is true. I'm also painting during 2023 more, I think. Yeah, I am. A lot of things happen in 2023. 2023 is great. I just feel like that's stuff that's easy for me to talk about. That's like, like none of that's like the juicy details, I'm aiming for that. So yeah, 2020, what else did I want to say? Oh, and I'm also dating somebody. I'm dating the guitar player of my band. I feel like that's important to mention. So he's living with me, and so is his brother and his brother's girlfriend, who's also my best friend. So that's the people that are living with me. So pause. And I feel like I could talk about, I really am trying to get tired here. I feel like I could talk about, what those dynamics were too, but I have that all beautifully written out as well, okay? So that's for another day. That's for the day when we're going through all the files. We're just going for the narrative right now. So my mom kicks out the brother and my friend. And then so we're at the beginning of 2024. They're kicked out. She's done with it. And, my boyfriend and I are hanging on by a thread, all right? And we're making music every day, and him and I are actually really trying. We're really attempting, and he's actually learning Ableton, and that's cool. And we're actually writing every day, and we're trying to put stuff together, but it's all so complicated, and I don't know. So we end up at the Consciousness. So just him and I end up having a job at the Consciousness New Life Expo, which also has people that we met at that Bhakti Love Festival that we performed at. So we're meeting all these people, and then also guess who else is fucking there out of nowhere? Ben. So we're, there's this weird convergence all happening here, and I'm there with the one set goal to is that I want to see Bashar, because I loved Bashar at this point. So that's like my like mental focus. But I don't know anything. Like I'm having conversations with all of these. I'm meeting with like everybody individually almost because I'm the juice girl at this thing. And so I'm having one-on-ones with everybody. And like that ends up being important, okay? Because I'm giving them juice. They all want juice. I'm sure that's just why. It's just the juice. We're at the Consciousness New Life Expo where it's 2024, okay? Here's why Ben is so important, because the guy I was dating, he's not there the last day. It's just me, okay? And Ben comes and he says something to me, like how sometimes people I found throughout my life, people say words and it's like everything changes right when they say those words. Like what I explained when Mike Zappa said the word pop star to me, and all of a sudden I was like, wait, what is real? So another thing like that happened, but this one wasn't so destabilizing. This one was incredibly stabilizing. So Ben comes to me and all he said was like something like the exact specific way he said the words we and safe. He's like, we're just making sure you feel safe. Don't know what the heck who we even is in this. I don't know who the royal we, I don't know. But I can still feel the vibration of the we and the safe. And that specific little combination made it so that the rest of what happened, like the rest of that day could happen, that I was like very much in a free state. So pause. Okay, so the rest of that day becomes like one of the craziest days of my entire life. So my whole goal is to like see Bashar essentially. But like the tickets are thousands of dollars. It's sold out. There's like so many people there. It's like, I don't know if they're thousands of dollars. It's out of my realm. And a series of things happen where like I make eye contact with, so Daryl comes, the guy who channels Bashar, and I see him and I offer him juice. He doesn't want juice. And then like I'm just thinking about it and I'm manifesting it, and then all of a sudden I'm like closing on my juice shop and I literally just see an exhibitor badge just like sitting there and like a ticket. And I was like, is this just gonna work? And so I go to get seats and I just give it to them and I just have this badge on and they just let me in and they funnel me in and I'm sitting like almost like I'm literally sitting like the fifth row and I'm like right there, and a bunch of people that I had multiple conversations with are all like his presenters and up there with him. And I'm just like, I know that guy and I know that woman and I know that guy and they're all up there and I just have this badge and I don't know where it came from. I have no idea where it came from. I still have it. And the ticket, God only knows. But I had told people that like that was my one goal. So I'm sitting there watching this and I'm just like I'm just experiencing like I'm like a link that I don't know how to explain, and I'm just writing and I'm just like, it's great. And then at the end, this guy that I had talked to named Adrian, he like does Disclosure Festival, which I guess closed down, but he was also like it doesn't matter. He pulls me up on stage and he just says that he tells people that I channel Janis Joplin. So that's where that rumor begins. And so yeah, that's there. And this was just a crazy day. All my dreams came true all in one moment, and I got to sing Janis Joplin in front of everyone. Okay, so then I'm like talking to more people. Everything I feel like is like calming down energy wise, and I end up at the bar and I've got like I had like art that I was giving out at, because I didn't have money with me, so I was like giving out art as forms of currency just to people that I just felt like I wanted to be a part of their lives that I would meet. I just like, if they had like, you know, but a lot of people like put up art that they find, especially at these things, and so I was just giving out prints of my art just to people I thought that like really gave me something valuable in a conversation, and I remembered to give them something in return. I don't always remember, or I don't always know what I'm giving in return, but sometimes it's art. So I like write some things, some words to Bashar on it, or not to Bashar, to Daryl, to the guy who channels Bashar, Daryl Anka. So I write some words while he's talking, and I do that while he's talking, and I just have that in my like pocket. And then I just like, I'm at the bar and I just like, I see Daryl there and he's just by himself and he's getting a drink, and so I have this thing in my pocket and it's literally for him. So I'm like, I hug him and I talk to him, and it was a really beautiful moment. And like I just like in that moment, like I was like, before I was getting like and realizing that him and I are not that different in what we do, except for I apply it more to music. And like I did study his process, him and also Cryon, they're both like big channelers. I studied a lot of like their behind the scenes stuff even before like meeting him and stuff like that. And like I've tried to apply that to the idea of like whenever I sing live or anything like that. So I incorporate a lot of what I've learned from them in my own practices and stuff. So that's like a part of all this too. And then I go to Eduardo's house. So Eduardo, my friend Eduardo, is a part of this as well. Because the reason why, because I'm going back to Ronnie. I also see Ben one more time. But I'm going back to Ronnie, and he's performing a show with his rock band at Eduardo's house. So then I go there, and I'm like trying to explain to them what's going on, but everybody's so drunk, and they have no idea what's going on. And so I'm just like, I've experienced literal magic. And I'm like trying to like explain what's going on. Didn't work. So then Ronnie and I go back to my house, we go home, and at some point we go to Nam, and then he like hits a cop car, like literally, and he doesn't have a license, so like that was a whole thing. And so then my mom kicks us out. It has nothing to do with that, but at some point my mom kicks us out. So then we're living in his studio on the corner of Hollywood and Vine, like across the street from Capitol Records, but like on the literal like Hollywood. We're living in a tiny little third apartment, like not apartment. We're living in a fucking studio and my car with a dog, and it's a lot. Okay. Okay, we're finally at the part that I'm like really excited to talk about, part 30. But now I'm like, oh, now I feel like I can probably go to sleep, because like this deserves justice that I'm not here for right now. But I'm really excited, so I feel like I'm gonna set the scene. Okay, so I am homeless. We're setting the scene. Okay? Literally, as I say that, I get a Facebook notification that says Jared Leto is a group that may interest you. Don't know what that means, but I'm homeless, okay? I just thought I would share it. It seemed significant, so I said it out loud. So I'm homeless, and I'm literally living on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And like, when I say studio, I mean like a rehearsal studio, not like a studio apartment. No. This is like a place where there is music constantly going on. So that's good. We're really musical during this time, but like hungry. But luckily my dad is providing us food, so that's good. But like living in my car with a literal puppy, like she's having nightmares. Look at her. She's having nightmares just thinking about it. She was barking. Okay, sometimes she has nightmares and she just barks a lot. I have to like, sometimes I'll blow on her. I never try to like wake her up by like touching her, because she's deaf and like that's confusing. So I blow on her if I need to wake her up. But a lot of times she just wakes up. That's something that happened in 2020. She like saved my life in 2020 at one point. Actually, this is something important. This is how I knew Ruby was like really special and that I was like on to something. This was a very confirming moment. So I feel like backtrack to 2020. So fucking Ruby. So I have this guy over, and he's supposed to help me build this couch I'm building, and he like does not take no for an answer. And he's like somebody I just met on Bumble, and he's not taking no for an answer. And it's at a point where like I'm up against my own wall, and he's taking like my buttons are coming off my top, like, and I'm saying no, and I'm like, okay, let's do this again. And Ruby, who's deaf. This dog is deaf. She comes running out from my bedroom, and she's like a little thing. She's not even a year old. She fucking and this is the only time she's ever bit anyone. She bites him on the hand so hard that he starts bleeding, and he starts like freaking out. And he's like, "Oh, this is so embarrassing for you." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. This is so embarrassing for me." He ends up breaking back in, and I end up like hiding in a bathroom for a really long time with Ruby. That's a whole. I end up having to call the cops, but then the cops are like Mormon, and like one of them blames my short shorts, and that was the whole thing. So yeah, now we're in 2024 and I'm homeless with my ex.